stories you tell yourself, like, I procrastinate, I don't go to the gym, like, the working out is hard for me, or I'm shy, I'm not confident, like, speaking in front of people. These are all stories that you tell yourself, and they dictate what you're able to do, because that is your truth. Welcome back to the Building a Marriage podcast. My name is Kofi.
I'm Hadassah.
And today we're talking about fear. We're talking about overcoming fear. This is something that we've just been having on our mind in our marriage, and also just from when we were single, just how fear has impacted our journey and how it's like limited our progress.
Right. Yeah, I think it's come up a lot once we started to try and make like our shared goals. And when we think of things that might be a bit out there, like we have no evidence, no track record, but it's like you think that because you don't have a track record, you can't do those things. But why not? So we're just trying to work through those blockages in our mindset that makes us think that we cannot achieve those scary, unrealistic goals. Because other people have done it, so why can't we? And it's so uncomfortable to have those barriers in your mindset. Of like, what if this happens? What if this is why I can't do this? Oh, that's why I can't do this goal. And it's like you feel almost like you're in a cage. You feel like it's paralyzing. Yes, that's the word. Whenever I feel like some sort of fear hold me back, I feel paralyzed, and that leads to procrastination for me. Like that's exactly how I feel. Like I cannot do anything, so I'll just do nothing.
Man.
So
again, this conversation came from us realizing this is not sustainable.
It's not.
Like, we cannot be thinking like this because it's scary to think of yourself 10 years down the line if you didn't change your mindset from just being debilitated by fear, and then you realize that you're going to be in the same spot. 10 years down the line, 15 years, you have the same goal. You have all these things you want to do, and you didn't accomplish any of them because you allowed fear to just like halt you.
Absolutely. So
I don't want that.
No, I don't want that for us. I don't want that for our future children.
No.
For anyone around us. And so we're just fighting against that. And I think it was your brother.
He sent a talk to our group chat. So Graham Weaver was giving a talk to the graduating class of 2023 at Stanford Business School. And he was talking about what it means to live an asymmetric life.
In 30 years of being a professional investor, I can summarize great investing in a single word, which is asymmetry. And you are looking for the biggest possible outcome relative to your risk. And your risk typically is just losing 1 time your money. That's all you're going to lose. So you want to be stacking criteria on top of each other where it becomes asymmetric. And so what I'm going to share with you today is how to live an asymmetric life. And there are 4 principles. And if you get one of these principles right, you will dramatically improve your life. If you get 2 or 3 right, you'll have this magical, incredible life. But if you can run the table on all 4, you can have literally an infinite life. You can have almost anything that you want. And you can live with joy, and you can just sustain, and you can have energy, and you can sustain that for decades. And I can tell you this from experience.
He had like 4 main points that we're just going to go through, and they really encouraged us. Maybe it'll help someone else, and maybe it'll just be for us to look back at in 15 years like, oh wow, we did it. But either way, so the first point was do hard things. And he was basically talking about being comfortable, being uncomfortable. Do the hard things that need to be done in order to get where you want to go. Because you're going to be uncomfortable anyways. You might as well do the things that are worth doing, so if you want to be, I'll use my example. If I want to be a doctor, I need to study. It's a hard thing, but a harder thing is to me look back in 5 years and be like, I wish I studied, because I'm still not a doctor.
Yeah, that's real.
Like my dad used to always say, like the time is going to go by regardless. Like in 5 years, you can either have done something or you could have not, but 5 years is going to go by regardless. So you might as well do the hard things.
It reminds me of a quote that I heard from, I think it was Andy Frisella. He's like a business owner, entrepreneur. And he was saying that, like in your analogy, talking about your track to being a doctor, studying for the MCAT is hard. Not being a doctor 10 years down the line is also hard.
Much harder.
So he said, choose your hard.
Yes, like, exactly.
Getting on the treadmill every day is hard. Being 63 pounds heavier in 7 years is hard as well. Like, choose your heart, like,
Right.
So but yeah, I think in this principle around doing hard things, he was really dealing with fear and how we perceive fear and how we can be better at dealing with fear, because fear is going to be there. Fear is all around us.
Fear is very manipulative, and it shows up in all these kinds of different ways. And it tries to disguise itself, okay? It disguises itself as being practical. I'm being practical right now. It disguises itself as I'm helping you. It disguises itself as I'm saving you. And most of all, it disguises itself as not me, not now.
As humans, we're always trying to find safety. That's one of our like core
yes, no, really,
our core motivations.
The bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Literally,
like, for the foundation.
Like, stay alive.
Yeah.
Stay alive. Like, from the cavemen, or the running away from saber-toothed tigers or whatever they're, trying to make it, to now, like, you don't want to take risks because you're fearful of not making it.
Yeah, but I like what he was saying, that I don't remember exactly if this is how he said it, but he was basically saying how comfortability is a mirage. Like, everything needs to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
Kind of like to your point of saying, things are going to be hard regardless.
Yeah.
You have to be uncomfortable at some point, and you have to expect that. Thinking that things are supposed to be easy all of your life is doing yourself a disservice. Because that's not realistic.
Yeah.
So yeah, he said, things get worse before it gets better. So doing hard things helps you get better at dealing with the fear in that valley.
Yeah. So like, if you think of it as like a graph, you're doing your thing, you're putting in effort into whatever you're trying to do. It's going to get worse.
Yeah.
Before it gets better. You're going to experience, fear. You're going to experience discomfort. It's going to be uncomfortable when you're pursuing this goal, and you're going to get to a point where you're like, oh my gosh, is this going to work?
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
It's like you're on a cliff. You're on the edge of a cliff of like what you're comfortable doing.
Right.
This is your first time exploring this pursuit. So everything within you is saying, this is not comfortable. We've never done this before.
Yes.
Like, go back.
That reminds me. So I wrote about that in one of my med school essays. Just talking about, because I had to talk about like a transformative experience, and my research assistant job. Every time I got better at something, I had to do something new. Yeah. And then I was back where I started, like uncomfortable. Oh my goodness, they're gonna fire me because I should not be here because I do not know the tools. But really, the more I did it, the more I realized everyone expects me not to know anything because this is new.
Yeah.
Because they were here too. Any reasonable person knows that you have to start at the bottom and learn and grow.
Yeah.
And the same with you too at Ford. Like, whenever you got to a new position, you were like,
what's going on?
Yeah.
And then they made it clear that that's going to happen. Like, it's going to take you 6 months to even have like an understanding of like what you're doing.
Exactly.
And then in 2 years, then you can kind of like, all right, I know what I'm doing. You can like teach someone. But yeah, like he said it's always going to get worse before it gets better. So the reason why you have to do hard things, consistently find every opportunity to do hard things, is so that you can get more comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
So that you can get more comfortable with experiencing fear. In Graham Weaver's example, he was talking about how he did crew. He rode crew in college.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. And they would have tests where you're supposed to do like 2,000 meter rides, 2,000 meters. And at the end of it, if you can do one more, you didn't go hard enough. Like, and him doing that exercise, repeatedly for weeks on end, whenever he was in a race and he experienced some discomfort, he had that reference of him doing the training, the 2,000 meter training. And he immediately snapped back to the fact that I did that hard thing, so I can do this hard thing as well. I think that's what it is, having a reference point.
Absolutely. That is it.
Example, let's say if we did a 5 mile run, and it was difficult, but we fought through it.
Yeah.
In the future, when we have that discomfort and we're trying to maybe do a 10-mile run and we're experiencing again that cliff to where your body's like, oh, hey, I haven't done this. You have that reference point of you experiencing the hard thing of us doing the 5-mile run, but us still completing the run.
Yeah, we did it. Yeah.
We did it. That's that reference point. So there's that proof that you are capable of doing hard things.
Yeah. At our church, we learn like a lot of songs in different languages. So we learn songs in Twi, Ga, Ewe, the list goes on, Igbo, whatever. And, you know, all my life, all I've known is English. And there was one song that we had to learn. It is probably like a 8-minute song in, I think it's Twi. And I learned the whole thing. And so now when other songs when the other songs come that we have to learn, I'm like, I learned that. This is only 2 minutes. I can learn it. And even though I learned that 8-minute song, sometimes I'll see the new songs, I'm just like, oh, I can't do this. And it's just for a second. I'm like, no, I can. I did this. Yeah. And it's just it just obliterates every farce of doubt.
Yeah.
Because the doubt only lingers for a second.
Yes.
Whereas before it would have stayed longer, and it has changed my mindset so much that when other people say they can't do it, I'm confused. Because it's like, this is possible because I can do it, and I know that I'm not any more special than anyone else.
Yeah.
So that means you can do it too if you just get over that discomfort.
Yeah. The first 4-minute mile, Roger Bannister ran the first 4-minute mile. And after that, there were just like hundreds of people who were able to reach that time for doing a mile. And it just kind of shows that reference point. Like if you know that it's possible,
you do it. Yes.
Within your own life, if you were able to do it in the past, or if another person was able to do it, it changes your perspective on the goal.
And honestly, I love that too, because sometimes, at least for myself, and I'm sure this is for other people too, sometimes I might not be incentivized to do things for myself. But if I know, okay, if I do this, someone else behind me is going to be encouraged to do something.
Yeah.
That's just really powerful. Like, you can be someone's reference. You don't have to be your own reference. You can use someone else, or someone else can use you as their reference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was the first principle. Do hard things.
So the next one is do your thing. So
I love this one.
This one is just saying, stay in your lane. Do what you have a passion to do, because that's what you'll do the best. Yeah. That's what you'll be most motivated to do. Yes, people are doing amazing things, but if you are not supposed to be, let's say, okay, for example, social media, this thing is very expansive. People, if you meet any kid under the age of 12 and you talk to them, most likely they're going to tell you that they want to be a YouTuber. Yeah. That might not really be their thing. They just are inspired by people on YouTube. Yeah. That might not be their thing, but they're looking at other people. Their thing might be the fact that they like the toys that those people are showing on YouTube. They could just be a toy manufacturer instead. That's their thing, you know? Yeah.
I think it's talking about, one, you not having to force yourself to do what other people are doing. And also, if somebody tells you to do something, you don't have to do it. Like, you just, like you said at first, like, do what you're passionate about. Do what you know you're supposed to be doing, and don't feel pressure to do what other people.
Because everyone else is doing it.
Yeah, or other people are telling you to do it. One of my favorite takeaways from this principle of do your thing is when he said, life is suffering. Choose something worth suffering for. Yeah. And he was basically saying that, like, you're going to suffer in life. You're going to be uncomfortable. Of course, like, you're going to have these fearful moments. You're going to be put in positions where you're kind of struggling. Yeah. So he said, if you're going to do that, it's terrible to be going through suffering or going through the struggle and be doing something that you're not even passionate about.
Absolutely.
You're doing something that your parents told you to do. You're pursuing a career that you did just because your friend group was doing it, and you felt you didn't want to stand out. So you didn't do your own thing. Yeah. And now you're experiencing this struggle, and it's not even something that you want to do.
Absolutely. That makes me think of, because we were both late graduates. Yeah. And it just makes me think of the people that, you know, go through college, spend all this money or take out all these loans. I did not even want to be here. Now I have 6 figures in debt.
Oh my gosh.
And it's I think that story is so common, and it's so sad. because now those people feel locked in to that thing forever. Because I mean, I have to pay these back.
Yes.
What else can I do? I didn't have a chance to explore, because college really is like the fertile time to explore what your thing is. But it also, when you were saying that, it reminded me of when I was telling you I wanted to be a doctor, and you were like, why? Because that's not your thing, and because it's my thing, I could not understand why you didn't get what I was saying.
For context, for context, you know, when she said that she wanted to be a doctor, when she told me that, I was just like, I was so locked in on the amount of debt that you can have after medical school, and this debt was going to be our debt.
Yes.
My goal is always, how do we get from point A to point B in a quick amount of time? Right. So point B for us is to be financially free, like to retire early. We want to be high income individuals. So I'm thinking, all right, we have, you know, we can start a business, you know, you can get into tech, or there's all these high paying jobs. And then there's doctor. It's a high paying job, but you can get some that similar income or even higher, but you don't have to go through 9 years of school and leave with 6 figures of debt. Mm-hmm. So that was what was in my mind. I didn't feel the desire that Hadassah had.
I don't think that's bad that you didn't feel that, because that's not your thing.
Yeah, it's not my thing.
It's not like something to feel guilty over. It's just like, I would never do that in my whole life.
Yeah.
And I don't know why you would do that, because that is not my thing. It's like, you want to do Ironman. I do not feel that desire.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I barely do. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna get there though.
Man, you shouldn't have said it. You could have said a 2 marathons. you jumped to Ironman.
Straight to the Ironman.
Yeah, like there's things that I see people doing that I just would never want to do.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. That's just the passions that you have within you. That's just your tendency to certain things. Mm-hmm. And it would be easier for me to be like a computer scientist, let's say. Mm-hmm. You know, I can just get my bachelor's and do that, but I would be miserable.
Yeah.
Even with the money and stuff. So yeah, it's not my thing.
You would be miserable because you're not doing your thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's kind of what he was getting at. Like, life is suffering. Life is going to be hard. If you're pursuing a high level of success in whatever you're doing, you're going to go through the struggle.
Absolutely.
Do something worth suffering for. He said that you're not going to win doing someone else's thing. Mm-mm. And for me, as someone I have people pleasing tendencies. So people around me who I respect, when they give me advice or tell me to do something, my default is to be like, oh, okay, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should do that. But I don't want to be doing someone else's
chasing other people's dreams.
I am not in the business of chasing other people's dreams. I don't want to get to a point when I'm 38 or 45 and I'm like, I still haven't done my thing.
Yeah.
I still feel these stressors, these voices in my head of other people telling me to do this. Okay, you should do this because they said that you should do this. Like and that is terrifying to me.
Yeah.
I'm 27 now, and by God's grace, like, my prayer is that I will have such a strong conviction of what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, God will give me a strong conviction, a strong purpose, a desire to fulfill that purpose, so strong that it just cancels out.
It mutes every other. It
just mutes everything, and that I can boldly just stand on saying no.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I'm doing my thing.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful though, because I think the your thing, whoever you are, is so powerful, because even as you were saying, like, you don't want to be 47 or whatever and then just finding your thing, mm-hmm. or realizing that you haven't done your thing. But I think it's so powerful not saying that you should wait to find it, but
Yeah.
I think it's so powerful when you do find your thing and you say, I'm not hedging any bets. Because you see those people at 50 years old that are just skyrocketing because they've found it and you cannot hold them back because they're so invigorated by it.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so inspiring. Like you see those 60-year-old, I've been in debt all my life. Now I'm a billionaire.
Yeah. Or I mean, because a lot of the times those people are just now having their kids leave the house. Their kids are independent.
Yes.
Because when you're raising your children, you can't take a lot of risks.
No.
It's first and foremost, keep these kids alive. Like, first and foremost, you got to pay for school. You need to, provide for your family. So when the kids leave the house, you're able to kind of shoot for whatever you're trying to do and shoot for the stars a little bit.
That's so true because I think you can take risks with kids, but it just feels that much more responsible. These are children.
It feels that much more irresponsible.
Yeah, because like if this goes wrong, it's not just me.
Yeah.
That's a different
This whole ship's going down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I cannot eat for a couple of days, but my kids, nah.
Yeah.
So that's do your thing. And now the next one is do it for decades. A lot of the things, the goals that we want to meet don't just happen overnight.
Yeah.
Like you have to put in work. So after a year, you might not be where you want to be. Keep doing it. Come back in 10 years and see where you are.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be so much higher. Come back in 20, so much higher. You've never learned the most you can ever learn. You've never reached the pinnacle of success. You can keep going, but you are just that much more successful than you were at the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, this was another one of my favorite principles because I like to put in effort and I want to see results like right now. I want to see just a little bit of results right now. Like if I don't see anything, it's like, oh, all right. And that's just who I've been in the past, and I'm now starting to shift my mind. And I don't know when it really happened, but now like I'm a lot more comfortable with understanding that this is going to take time. There's just a proof of so many people who are successful around us, and also just people who we listen to, online. And it's like Gary Vaynerchuk, this guy Graham Weaver, a lot of other successful people, and they say success takes time. Like success just takes time. You can't find anyone who is experiencing a lot of success in their life who didn't take years, decades to do it.
Absolutely.
Like they had pitfalls. They made mistakes, but because they were passionate about whatever they're doing, they kept going and they reaped the rewards because of it. Yeah,
it's going to take time. And I think that's why it's just encouraging to like just stick to the plan.
Yeah.
Like it's just stick to it and trust the plan, and then you'll see the benefits in the future. And I think doing it for decades just takes also faith as well.
Yeah.
Like you have to have faith in what you're doing, and just faith, patience, all of the above.
When I think about YouTube, we just started this.
Yeah.
And we have like 12 episodes out. We have 12.
We do?
So I think we have maybe not 12. No. We have 12 videos. We have other videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have like 10 or 12 videos out right now. And, you see like 32 views, you see like 27 views or stuff like that. And that could leave someone discouraged after they
I'm surprised we have that much.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah. That could make someone feel discouraged after they've edited for a long time, or they filmed, they sacrifice time to like do this, and it's like your baby. Like you really want this to succeed.
No one thinks my baby's cute. Oh. Yeah. That's what it's like.
Yeah, that's how it can feel, but it's like we've been doing this for a couple weeks.
Literally. We don't deserve that success.
No, like you don't deserve to complain.
Yeah.
Mr. Beast talks about how like just
your first 10 are not going to give views. I can very confidently say that. So stop sitting there and thinking for months and months on end, and just get to work and start uploading. Like all you need to do, this applies to people who have not uploaded videos but have dreams of being a YouTuber, is make 100 videos and improve something every time. Do that. And then on your 101st video, we'll start talking. Like maybe you can get some views, but your first 100 are going to stop.
When you're first starting in video and YouTube, again, this is just an example of doing it for decades, because we're trying to build this platform of building in marriage. We're trying to build this platform on YouTube and all this stuff. And we're going to have to do it for decades to actually see the fruit from our investment. And Omar was saying that, in that time at the beginning, you're not going to have any views. No one's looking at what you're doing. No one cares. No. So use that time when nobody's looking to just practice.
Yes, absolutely. This is practice right now.
This is practice. Yeah. We might get 16 people viewing this video.
Hey, one day it's going to be 16,000.
One day it's going to be 16,000. Yeah. By the grace of God. And again, that's all. And we have that as a goal because we want as many married couples out there to come alongside us in this journey of trying to steward our marriage as well.
Right.
So, yeah, the goal is to have as many people out there pursuing the same goal.
Yeah.
I got so encouraged when he said that. Like, see this time as a time where you can perfect your craft.
Yes.
Get your editing down. The way that we are able to talk on camera, comfortably on a mic, like this is uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't know where to look, to be honest. Yeah, I'm like,
me neither. It's
and
okay.
I ain't got my glasses on. I can't even really see the camera. Yeah,
we gotta get some glasses. Yeah. But yeah, like being able to communicate,
right?
Like these are all areas that we want to grow in. So we're just using this time.
Yeah, and you know what? I even think like, let's say we put out a video. Let's say we put out this video.
Yeah.
It gets 1 million views. Mm-hmm. We get 1 million subscribers. What do we do with that? We have no concept of how to. We can't even manage the subscribers we have.
Yeah.
It's crazy to even think that we would have to manage that. We'd have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
We would fumble every bag.
Yeah.
So it's a blessing to start off slowly and small, because you are. It's like you don't go to the gym and your first day you lift 500 pounds. Mm-hmm. You start with 10.
Yeah.
You start with 20. You build your way up, and then you can manage it.
Yeah. Over time, you learn how to manage what you're doing, and that's just what we're doing. I love that. Yeah, do it for decades. Mm-hmm. That's number 3. That's principle number 3. Principle number 4 is to write your story, and this was so good. This was. I mean, this is the principle that I'm most excited about. And the way he illustrated this was, he was in the recession, like his company that he owns, that does investments for other like entities. They were in the middle of the recession of 2008, and a whole bunch of their client accounts were like in the red. They were not prepared for this recession, so the company was struggling. So he hired an executive coach, just one of these executive coaches that will like help you kind of see where you're limiting yourself mentally, and help you overcome those barriers in your mindset. So, and he did this as a goal of helping the company get better. So he went to this guy, and the guy said, "Okay, all right, what we're gonna do? We're gonna write a story." Right. What I want you to do is, right now, everything is stressful. The company's in the red and everything like that. So we don't want to start with the time variable being like right now. I just want you to think like 5 years down the line, because right now the stress is in your face. You can't think clearly. This story is going to take place 5 years down the line. That's the first rule. And the second rule is, what would you do if you knew you could not fail? Like, just think of what limitless thinking. What would you do if you knew that you could not fail? Kwame, my older brother, mentioned something similar to me as well. Like, don't think about how you're limited in terms of resources. Like, you have to project a future that is, you have access to all resources. Resources is not a variable. Like, what would you do if resources were not an issue?
Right.
That changes your whole perspective.
Absolutely.
So that was rule number 2 for writing your story. What would you do if you knew that you could not fail? Number 3 is that don't worry about the how. He said the how is the killer of all great dreams.
That's true.
Forget the how. Just throw it out the window. And I think what he's talking about is like, oh, how am I gonna have a budget for that? Like, how am I in this story? Like, how am I going to make that connection, that relationship that is gonna help me get to this place? And you're just hedging everything. You're limiting yourself. You're just confining this story to the amount of resources that you won't have, the amount of relationships that you won't have, and that makes your story this much smaller.
Exactly. Instead of capitalizing on what you do have.
Bedros Koulias, he's an entrepreneur. He like started a chain of gyms, like really successful. And he was talking about how you tell your stories all day long of who you are.
Yes.
And who you've been. And therefore that dictates what you're able to do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like, it's these stories you tell yourself, like, I procrastinate. Oh, I don't go to the gym. Like, the working out is hard for me. Or, you know, I'm shy. You know, I'm shy. I'm not confident, like, you know, speaking in front of people. These are all stories that you tell yourself, and they dictate what you're able to do because that is your truth.
Yeah, it's true. Words are so powerful.
Yeah. What Graham Weaver is talking about is don't live your life based on the story that you've lived, the things you've experienced, the way you've acted. No. Create your story.
Yeah. Create a new reality.
Create a new reality. Create your story. And live based on that.
Yeah.
Live your life in alignment with that story that you want to become a reality.
Yeah, so that's basically what we are trying to do with our life. Like, we are at the very beginning, but you know, we were so encouraged by that and by just the conversations we've been having with each other yesterday. This is just like a glimpse into, not yesterday, lately. We've been having a lot of those conversations of just like going beyond where we are now,
and just overcoming fear.
Overcoming fear, that's the main thing. And yeah, so if you're encouraged by this, you know, leave a comment, you know, maybe give your own tips if you have, you know, overcome some obstacles and just gone past that. Just share your testimony or whatever. And in a few years, in a decade, we'll come back and look at this and see where we are.
Well, I think we're going to be doing this. I think that's the call to action. We're going to start, like, after watching that video and after having this conversation, like, our first step is to create our story. Right. Like, we haven't created our story yet. So we're going to sit down together and we're going to look 5 years into the future. Like, what do we want our lives to look like? You know, our career, our relationships, the people we're connected to, our income, all this stuff. We're just going to write it down on paper. And then we're going to try and reverse engineer that and align our days, our habits, our small, like, short-term goals in line with that story that we want to create.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I think that, you know, that'd be a good takeaway. And that's something that we encourage you guys to do as well. Like, you know, if you can sit down with your partner, or just if you're single, if you can just sit down and create the story for yourself, just write it down on paper, type it out, think big. Again, the rules: don't think about the how, think 5 years into the future. And what would
you do if you could not fail?
What would you do if you could not fail? Think about what would you do if you could not fail? Resources aren't a factor. You have all the resources in the world. Like, what would you do? Yeah. So we're going to be doing that all together. Thank you guys for watching this episode. Thank you for being subscribers. Leave a like if you enjoyed this conversation. If you are also in the same position of trying to overcome your fear and just trying to, you know, live an asymmetric life. We appreciate you guys for the support. And we will see you guys next time on the Building a Marriage podcast. Bye.
Bye.